Welcome to the Voice of Oneness, your call to awaken. This show is your call to awaken to the truth of your being through the teachings of the Voice of Oneness, spoken by Aumara. On this show, you will receive spiritual guidance and the teachings of oneness from the heart of spirit directly to your heart, along with the tools and techniques to apply these teachings to your day-to-day life. Tuning in each week, you will grow in a deeper, richer understanding of your true nature as teachings are offered about universal spiritual laws that govern our lives. You will learn the right use and application of these laws to achieve the richest life from the perspective of experiencing abundance in all areas of your life. Aumara is a renowned psychic, spiritual teacher, coach, energy healer, mystic, and gifted visionary who taps into the higher realms to join with the vast collective of source energy. Now, your host of Voice of Oneness, Aumara.
Good evening and welcome, friends, to the Voice of Oneness, your call to awaken podcast here on WLTK-DB Talk Radio. I am Aumara. I'm your host for tonight. I'm your host all the time. I don't know why I say for tonight, but I'm your host for the teachings of the Voice of Oneness. And I'm so glad that you've listened to your call to awaken by joining me here on this podcast, either live tonight or listening to the recording. I am so grateful for your presence. Thank you. So tonight, let us begin. We have a great show in store for you. The topic for this week is love is the expression, expansion is the experience. So much is happening in our world, and that most of you listening probably have noticed or will notice that things are happening rapidly. There's a quickening going on. There's a lot taking place. There's a lot of motion, a lot of activity. And there's a lot of crumbling. There's a lot of, for many people, and I do spiritual counseling and coaching work during the week. And this has been a week where I've had the majority of the calls that I've been on with my clients has been about their life just falling apart. And I'm not talking about one little aspect of the life, but it's the whole thing just crumbling. And it's such an experience to be in, and it's so much relates to the time and energy of which we're all experiencing on the planet. Because we're experiencing this, the collapsing of the structures, the collapsing of governments, the collapsing of what we held to be true, realizing that it was a facade and not true. And as we live the life here on Earth, we are part of the global the consciousness, the collective consciousness, or called race consciousness. We're all connected to that, whether we're aware of it or not. We're all connected. So it's the soup of consciousness that we're all connected in. And in that collective consciousness, there's tremendous amount of fear, uncertainty. And that energy is prevailing at this time. And in our own individual lives that we're having, although we're all connected to one another, we're all impacting the field, we're still experiencing based on our beliefs and what we are active within in our lives, the roles we're playing. And through those roles, we are to experience the truth of our being. Just like the collective consciousness, we are to experience the truth of our expression as a collective, realizing that we are one, that we are not separated by boundaries. We are not separated by location. We're not separated by color. We're not separated by religion. We're not separated by gender identity. These are all roles of which we are expressing within. We are all having experiences, but that is not what is separating us. What is causing this separation is our belief in separation, the belief that separation exists, that it's possible. If we were to release that belief, it would not be there. It wouldn't matter what the color of someone's skin is or how they identify. These are what we are using right now in our world to divide us. It's being used against us. When we each come to the path of our own choosing, when we want to experience, and it's not even to say somebody wants to grow spiritually, but to say that somebody just wants peace. They want a sense of peace in their life. They just want to feel calmness. They want to feel safe. They want to feel secure. And that is done through realizing that we are the ones that are holding in our own consciousness the belief in separation that is causing us to be held from that peace, from that sense of security, and from that safety. And those are some of the issues that we'll address here tonight. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in our personal lives and give guidance and suggestions of what we can do to create a deeper, richer understanding of that which is our true nature, and to begin to live from the perspective of that understanding, living from our heart and not our minds. Our minds, what we're holding our thoughts within, are continuously being impacted by the world view, by the collective consciousness, by the media. It's being hijacked left and right by corporations, by a force that has an agenda that many people are not even aware that the agenda exists, but it does. And it's a very powerful force. And it needs to exist in this way at this time, so that when we become aware that there's something going on, we may not understand it, but we become aware that there's something going on and we don't like the feeling that we're having in our body, or we don't like the feeling that we can't sleep at night. We don't like the feeling that we're glued to the television because we want to know what's going to happen next, and we're so fearful for our future. Eventually we get to the point where we say, this has to stop. This has to stop. I make a choice. I make a choice to learn more about that which I am. There's got to be more to life. And that's when we open up. And that's when we begin to draw into our life experience new information. And hopefully that's what we are providing here for many of you, is new information that you can utilize to grow and experience the truth of your being, not what you've been told, not what you've believed that kept you from your truth, but how to release the old ways and to embrace the new, coming into a deeper, richer understanding of your truth, of that which you are. Walking the true path is the steps taken to come to the point of realization that there exists a truth in all of life, of which is a unifying force of love. A unifying force of love. That's what's available to everyone to awaken to. And many of you are well on your way, and many are just beginning. No matter where we find ourselves, this is our journey. And it's the journey of which we walk alone, in a sense. Now, this is not to be misconstrued that we walk alone in life, because the presence that created us is always within us. We are always guided. We are always directed. We are always loved and supported when we are open to that. If we close ourselves off from that, then we struggle. We have pain and struggle, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But it's to say we walk alone, meaning that our life experience begins and ends with us. Although we are always interrelating with others, or interrelating with places or people, how we interrelate is our choice. What we experience, we have choice within. And that's what's missing for most people from their awareness, that they hold choice, that we can choose the expression of love. We can choose not to live from the mind that's hijacked so often, that's been corrupted and conditioned to respond in ways of which those in this, I will say, agenda wish us to perform, for they know how to manipulate energy. So now it's for each of us to come on board and claim for ourselves our own life experience, realizing that it begins with us and it ends with us. We determine what is going to be. And that's a learning process. It's not something that you'll get in one podcast. It's not something that you'll get by reading one book, listening to this teaching or whatever teaching. It's something that must be lived. It must be experienced. So I ask each of you listening, open your heart, open your mind, and receive what's being given to you here. And then sit with it and experience it within your own consciousness. See how it feels intuitively, how it feels within your heart. Because each one of us must take responsibility for our energy. We must learn how to feel beyond the hijacking of our mind. We must learn to feel. We must make that conscious choice to turn within, to feel, to experience. And when we are turning in to feel and experience, we're turning to the Creator, that which created us. And that which created us, we can call any number of things. We can call it God. And many people take issue with that. It's just a name. And it has connotations. It has energy attached to it because people have defined it in different ways. But our current prevailing culture is trying to disconnect us from God, trying to say that there is not a God, that we are to focus on what this agenda wants us to focus on. That's a hijacking. And that's not our truth. And we can follow down that path if we choose. But as we follow down that path, we'll notice that we are not experiencing peace, that we are not experiencing joy, that we are not experiencing a deep sense of connectedness, but a sense of fearfulness, a sense of disconnectedness, a sense of things don't make sense, a fear of what's going to happen next. Who's going to make a decision, and that decision is going to impact my life, and I'm going to suffer because of that decision. That's a hijacking. That's not the expression of love. That's the expression of fear. So we want to say, oh, wait a minute. Let me step back. Let me begin to experience the energy of which I am. No matter where I am on my spiritual path, no matter what my understanding is, no matter what religion I'm practicing, it doesn't matter. Because we can be within any of the religions and take it to our heart and say, okay, the presence that created all of creation exists within each of us. It exists in all of creation. It's never absent, always present, all powerful, all knowing. It's here with us, experiencing life as we experience it. But it can never walk the walk for us, for it has given us life so that we may experience life, so that we may come to know that which we are. Because the Creator that created us does not need to know, already knows, is all knowing, allness. But we have yet to arrive at that all knowing place. We are experiencing life together with the Creator who's assisting us in manifesting life experiences so that we can grow. We can grow in the understanding. Oh, I want this. I'm holding a belief in this. I want more money. I want more money. So I'm doing things just for money. And money is my prevailing thought. That I need more money. I need more money. I need more money. I need more money. I want more money. I want a better job. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do exactly what the company tells me to do, even though it doesn't feel good, even though I do not believe in the corporation's way of practicing. But I'm going to do it and I'm going to suck it up because I want that paycheck. And then we realize that I don't feel good. I've got a lot of money, but there's something missing. There's a gaping hole inside of me. I have a void. And then we say, okay, now, how do you want to move forward? Do you want to look at what that void is? Or do you want to keep striving for more money, more money, more money, with the belief that it might fill that void? And then as you do, you realize that the void is still there. Or perhaps you're experiencing it in even deeper sense. And you say, uh-oh. And then all of a sudden we say, it's time for a shift in life. I've got to pivot. I've got to turn. I've got to do something differently. I've got to get another job. Or perhaps I've got to get another partner. Or perhaps I've got to move someplace else. Because maybe one of those things will help me to feel better. And then you take the action. You may get a new job. You may leave the partner you're with and go for another partner. And then you may have a good time in the beginning, as you usually do. And then all of a sudden, you wake up one day and you realize that that void is still there. That the partner couldn't fill it. The job couldn't fill it. The brand new sports car couldn't fill it. The move to the beautiful location, while it's beautiful, it can't fill the void. And you say, oh, now what? How do I fill this void? And this void is the calling of the heart to return to love, to return to acknowledge the source of which created you, to turn to and begin to enter into a relationship with the source. That does not mean that you have to go sit in a cave on a mountain in the Himalayas so that you can become this masterful yogi. It means that you stay in the life of which you're in, and you learn how to conduct that life in the most uplifting, empowering way that you can. You begin to live your life as guidance was given to us by many great teachers that walked this earth up to this point. And they came to teach They came to share a message. They came to show a way. But many, 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 many of us did not receive the message. We're not available to opening to a deeper understanding. We were hijacked and conditioned within the mind to perform, to always quickly move on to the next thing. We were told that in order to be valued and to be lovable, we had to produce. We had to become something. And we believe in that we have to be something. I have to be somebody. I have to leave a legacy. This is conditioning. It doesn't mean that you can't do great things in the world and that you leave behind a legacy. You certainly can. But the legacy that all are to leave is that they experienced love before we take our final breath. On this earth, have we experienced love? And I'm not talking about romantic love when somebody looks into your eyes and tells you they love you. They love you until they don't, for most people, because it's not a true love. It's an infatuation. It's a, you meet my need at the moment, or I meet your need. But how many relationships continue on when they are in very troubled waters? How many relationships involve one partner reaching out to the other saying, it's okay, we're struggling, but I'm here, I got you. I realize that we're souls together in this sea of turbulent waters, and I'm willing, if you are, to learn how to swim together. How many people reach that point? There are some. And it's available to all of us. But many of us have been so conditioned to jump onto the next thing, to run from a troubled relationship, thinking that there's a better one around the corner. Well, there may be a relationship around the corner, but guess what? You bring yourself with you into the new relationship. And if you have not healed that which needs healing within yourself, if you have not come to the place of love, unconditional love, you're going to enter into a new relationship and you're going to find the same hurts. You're going to find the same shadows. You're going to find the same jealousies, the same anger, the same lack of patience, the same need to make somebody else into something they're not so they can make you feel good. So it is. This call to love, this call to return to the heart says, okay, I understand. It begins and ends with me is the term being said tonight. Now, how do I apply that to my life? What does it mean? And it means different things. And it is ever evolving because we are ever evolving. We are spirit housed in a physical body. We are not our physical body. We are not our physical beauty or lack thereof. We are not our intelligence. We are not our bank account. We are spirit. Having a human experience means we're here to live with the five senses and to learn how to master ourselves with the five sense experience and not be held prisoner by the senses that are out of control. Not to let our need for pleasure control us, but to say pleasure is a wonderful experience. And we all certainly can have that. But we must learn how to manage that energy. Now, there's great teachers have walked this earth before us. We have many lessons already given. We have many provided throughout instruction that may be in organized religion. And oh my gosh, have I said that? Organized religion, dogma, isms. they've all been put in such a way in our culture currently to make it something that we rebuke, when it's something that holds for us teaching to guide us, when we receive it with an open heart and we take it into the chambers of our own heart. We don't take what someone else is interpreting for us and telling us this is the way. We take it into our own heart because that's the way it was designed. It wasn't designed that someone speaks from a pulpit or someone that speaks from behind a microphone and tells you what you are to think, what you are to feel. No, we're here to offer information. And what resonates with you, with your heart, is what you take. And what doesn't resonate is what you leave behind. And you keep on moving forward to experience that which does resonate. But don't dismiss based on what someone else is telling you to believe, their ideology. Don't dismiss the name of God because you had an experience when you were younger in a church by someone who didn't know what they were doing. It does not mean that every word of the text, of the sacred text, is corrupt. Don't dismiss things based on someone else's ideology. Take a look for yourself. Go where you're guided to go. Learn what feels right within your heart, what speaks to you, what brings you joy, what brings you peace, what brings you calmness. And that's what you pursue. That's important. And so very important at this time as our structures are breaking down. And as it will come that we will each have to face the reality that we believed in things that we did not examine for ourselves, but accepted to be truth. Because perhaps we wanted to fit in, perhaps it was required by a job that we were working at. Perhaps it's because we are gathered socially and we want to fit into the social structure. I want to belong, therefore I want to do what everyone else is doing. These are all traps that we fall into. We all may fall into these traps. That's to recognize when we're in the trap. First, there's a way out. And second is that it's time for us to learn to take responsibility and manage our own energy. Don't give in to fear. Fearing what could come tomorrow. You have no idea what could possibly come tomorrow. Why would you entertain the thought of, oh my gosh, it could be something horrific? What if I lose my home? What if I lose my money? What if I lose my job? If you've got the job at the moment, you haven't lost it. If you've got the home and you haven't lost it. If you got the money and you haven't lost it, stay where you are. Don't jump into what has not occurred because somebody else has planted the seed there for you to go in that direction so you could be fearful. Say, I choose my path. I choose to learn how to manage my own energy. I choose to use my mind and my heart. My mind has purpose. It serves us. But so too does the heart. And the heart must be recognized. Not that that's for those that feel too much. Oh, those emotional types, you know them. They're just too emotional. They can't get anything done. They're just saps or whatever the names are that people call us. No, it means those that are within their heart are connected more. They're connected more to those around them. They may not even realize it, but they can see and feel energy. That's what that means. And we've labeled that today. We've given it a very fancy name. We've called it empathic. It means that we've evolved within our own spiritual development to a place where we can sense the energy. We're more in tune. Our consciousness has expanded. Our heart is a little bit more open than somebody who's not feeling. Or it may be that the person who appears not to be connecting and feeling is very disconnected because that's what they've learned through conditioning. That's what they've learned through their life experiences thus far. They've learned that's how they stay safe. That's one version of it. So why do we call them unconscious? Why do we call them sheep? Why do we call them these names? Stop it with these names. Stop allowing yourself to be hijacked and turning against your brother. And I'm calling everybody and all brothers. We are all brothers. We are all from the same source. We are all in the same family. It's time for us to learn how to get along. How to get along as part of our own immediate families and then the global family. And how do we get along? We start caring for ourselves. We become aware of what's called the fruits of the Spirit. And we start to live from the fruits of the Spirit. This is what has been brought forth from the great teachers that have come before us. Kindness, generosity, thoughtfulness, self-control. We start with kindness and we ask ourselves, in relationship just to ourselves, no one else, just to ourselves, this day, have I treated myself kindly? Has my own inner dialogue spoken to me in a loving way? Or have I allowed myself to hold a conversation inside of me that is debasing, that is a diss? Have I spoken unkindly to myself by saying, no, you can't have that. You really want that, but you can't have it. You can only have what you've got because that's as good as you are. And that's what many people believe, that they are where they are and that's where they stay because that's their lot. That's not a kindness. That's not loving. That which created us in a world of abundance. Abundance, not just prosperity, but abundance means abundance of all things. But we must claim it. We must open up to it. We must say, yes, yes. Let me start right where I am with me, because I know that my energy impacts the whole. And as more and more people focus on their energy, focus on coming back in alignment with love, 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 that changes everything. And here, many people, their focus is on leading the pack, getting ahead, moving from a 3D to a 5D or beyond. Oh my gosh, I'm so spiritual because I'm experiencing multidimensional realities. Really? Really? Is that true? Does that make you more spiritual? It happens to be the experience that you're having because things are quickening. And if you're in tune and you're a certain vibration, you're going to be experiencing those multiple realities, those different dimensions and timelines, and you're going to have all sorts of things open up to you. But to think for one moment that that's makes you more spiritual than somebody else, guess what? You've just dropped an anchor. and you just placed yourself stuck right where you are until you come to the awareness that that thought is harmful to you, to your evolution, to the evolution of the collective expression of humanity. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Because when you are excluding yourself from the all in any way, when you are standing in judgment of another and you are calling them a name or believing that they are something that is beneath you, then you are condemning a member of your family. You're condemning them to a fate. This is something that we need to learn, and we need to learn this very fast. This is the point. This is a great shift. This is the awakening. This is the return to love. To realize that we each, every one of us, holds within our heart the capacity to love. Each within us holds the knowing that we are love. We must return to that. We must open to that. We must choose love. We must choose it. We are energy. Energy is always in motion. It's never created nor destroyed. It flows into form and out of form. That's the nature of energy. That's the nature of us. We are in form. We're in a physical body until you lie yourself down in the bed at night, and guess what? Your energy leaves, and you travel, and you experience, and you call it the dream world. And you think you're dreaming, and you think your dreams are separate from that which you are. When you wake up, oh my gosh, I had that dream. Oh, the weirdest things happen. Oh my. And then you don't visit that dream again. You don't say, what was that dream telling me? What was that experience all about? Because that's part of me. That's part of the consciousness of which I am. And so much is lost from us from not paying attention to our dreams. Our dreams are very revealing, and they're there for us to look at. They are a part of that which we are. So know that. Maybe now we'll look at them differently. We'll look to see what is the message being given in the dream. My dream can help me understand where I am within my consciousness. What am I focused on? Can help me to see more than my physical eyes can see. Say, oh, well, this came in the dream. Oh, this is what it means. Wow. I've been focused on things that are not serving me. Well, now that I know this, I can make a choice. I can continue to focus on this direction, or I can choose to let this go. I can choose to see that, oh my gosh, I've been judging myself. I've been judging myself to be not good enough to hold the job I'm holding. I've got this thing that I believe in called imposter syndrome. Somebody sooner or later is going to find out that I'm not very good at the job I'm doing. And then guess what? I'm going to lose that job. And guess what? If I lose that job, I'm going to be homeless. Oh my gosh, then what am I going to do? And this is how the mind spirals downward. And these are the thoughts that people have, that we have. This is part of our experience here. Say, oh no, I am worthy of that of which I am experiencing it. Because if I were not, I would not be in this experience. Each and every one of us, no matter where we find ourselves in this very moment, we are in the moment experiencing life through our consciousness, through the level of awareness of which we are. And we are held within that experience until it no longer serves us. Then it gives way to the next experience. Naturally, we start to change and shift and move away from that which no longer serves. I hope that makes sense. And I've gone on a rant here. Be- and it's the passion within me that so wants to spread the message that love is the way. And we make things so complicated. And we create all these dramas because we're working out and we're working through the programming and conditioning of which we've experienced within our mind. But if we were just to stop for a moment and realize that if we drop within our heart, in our heart center, there's the knowing. There's the knowing. That heart center holds within it the spark, the light of that which we are. And when we connect to that, we connect to the truth. And we are all holding within us the call to return to love. To return to love. And some of us are at such a place and we're so hurt and we're doing things in this world and they are so against love, but it's because we know not what we do. We know not what we do. And this was the words right out of Jesus the Christ, the great teacher, a great teacher. Let's remove him from the religious connotation, the religious figure, and know that he's a great teacher, known as the master of masters. And he said from the cross, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." They know not what they do. Don't hold them for this trials and what they are doing here. They don't know what they're doing. So he stepped right into forgiveness. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. For in this moment, when I take my last breath and I release myself into your arms, I do so with forgiveness alive and well within me. I'm not leaving this earth with resentment. I'm not calling for the persecution of anyone or anything. I'm calling for the forgiveness of, for the release of. This is the way. This is the way, but we must walk the way. We must enter into living from the field of love, living consciously, realizing what we're doing. When we're being hijacked in our mind, say, "Oh, I just realized I allowed myself to be hijacked because I thought in this moment that I knew everything I needed to know about a situation, about a person. And I can serve as judge and jury in this case. And I can make a claim, make a statement. And I even bring that statement when I'm doing that onto myself and say, I'm judging myself. I'm holding myself prisoner. I'm holding myself away from love." We know when we're holding ourselves out of the field of love because it does not feel good. We experience anxiety, we experience depression, we experience confusion, we experience anger, rage, apathy. These are all low vibrating energies that are part of our human experience. And they signal to us and those around us that we are hurting, that we are in need of assistance, that we are not within our birthright, that we are believing that we are less than we were created to be. We're having an experience, and it's ours to have. Every one of us has it. It's ours to have until we say, no more. No more. And now I'm going to say that it is time for a station break. Please stay with me. There's much more to come. Thank you. See you soon.
Want to see your video here? Sponsor WLTK-DB Talk Radio and watch us make that happen. With your paid sponsorship of $80, you receive a professional produced audio, video, and banner placement on our station. Not only does your sponsorship air during our live shows, but also replayed on our podcast and heard by hundreds of like-minded people. Visit WLTK-DB.com to get started and find out just how hard we work to get you noticed.
Good evening and welcome back. And good evening, Courtney. I'm sorry. I just got so caught up in my rant here that I didn't turn on the comments. So I just turned them on during the break and noticed that you had said, evening, thank you, and balance. I thank you, Courtney. Thank you for sharing in the comments. And I invite everyone who's watching, share in the comments. Let us know what you're feeling. We're in this together. And as we share, we grow. As we share, we grow. And someone, that old adage, sharing is caring. Okay. We care about one another. We care for one another. We're open and we want to share. So please share. Do share. Okay. So now back to our own responsibility, taking responsibility for our energy and how we're living our life. And yes, balance for sure. Balance. One of the first things is that when we wake up in the morning, it's a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new time. We're entering into new energy. We're just arising. We're awakening from our dream state. Now, we may remember the dreams or we may not. If we remember the dreams, please write them down because they're important. And then look at them and work with feeling what is the message being told to you in the dream. If you didn't remember your dream, that's okay. Set your intention for the new day. Say, this day is anew. And oh, thank you, God, or thank you, nature, or thank you, love, or thank you, infinite intelligence, whatever name that you choose to use. Thank that which created you for the new day, because that which created you for the new day is with you and within you for the new day. So you are in this life together, beginning a new day to experience life. So I set about this day to experience life, and I choose, if it is my choice, to live my highest version of myself. My highest, not my lowest, my highest. My highest meaning I choose love. I choose to come from the space and the place of love, which means I place my attention on my heart and I listen to what it's telling me as I move throughout my day. If someone looks at me as I'm at the water cooler at work and I feel they're looking at me and it doesn't feel good, then I have a choice. I can react to that, or I can say, I live within the field of love and I don't know what's going on with my brother this day, but I can sense that something's not right. So I'm just going to send love. And just imagine, poof, a brilliant white light just flows to them. And if they're available to accept it, they accept it. And if not, it will circle in their field until they are. And they could be walking down the street one day and all of a sudden a wave of love comes over them. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm having this experience. Oh my gosh, I've never felt this before. This feels so good. And they start to cry. Well, guess what? That was your love bomb that they're just accepting. So how does that feel? Know that that happens. Know that that's part of what we can do for one another when we're living from the field of love, when we're allowing ourselves to express love. The opposite of that would be to condemn the person and say, oh, there's something wrong with them because they're not treating me fairly. There's something wrong with them. They're unconscious. They're not spiritual. That's condemning. That is not living from the field of love. That's not being kind to the self. We're not being kind to ourselves when we're doing that. Because as we grow and learn, we learn that we are one with all. We are connected. We cannot disconnect from all. The allness of all creation, we are one with. We cannot disconnect from it because we did not create it. We were created as part of the whole. We are not the totality. Although we like to think that everything revolves around us, it doesn't. We're part of the whole. We're here learning that we are love. And how we learn that we are love is we begin to choose to live in the field of love. I choose to be a loving being. I choose forgiveness. I choose acceptance. I choose to question myself. I remember many, 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 many years ago, and I've had teachers in my life, both physical and non-physical, usually non-physical, masters working with me. And it was one particular evening where a friend of mine had done something that really hurt my feelings. Really, really, really hurt my feelings. I had an opening and I had a button to be pushed, and this person pushed it really good. So it was the end of the night, and the friend went home, and I was sitting in my house, and everybody else was sleeping, and there I was in tears. And the tears are flowing. And I call out to this master teacher of mine, and I say, I don't understand. I don't understand. Because so much I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to let it go, and I wanted to feel love, but I was hurt. I was real hurt, and I wasn't able in that moment to feel love. I wasn't able. I felt angry, and anger is not love. But that's how I felt because the anger was within me. There's an unresolved anger within me that needed healing, and it didn't get healed in that night. It started it, but it was more to come. But anyway, I'm crying, and I give out this whole spiel of what happened and what this person said, and I'm telling it to this master teacher of mine who's non-physical, and I could hear his voice in my head. And he stops. I stop, and he says, "Are you ready to listen?" And I said, and he goes, "The answer is so what?" Well, that's the last thing I wanted to hear. I went, "What do you mean, so what? So what? Do you know what she did? Do you know what she said? That's a horrible thing, and no one should ever say that to anybody, and blah, 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 blah." And he said, "Bye." And then he left. And I was sitting there still crying, and I sat for hours. And it was in the wee hours of the morning, and I'm sitting in my meditation space, and all of a sudden I hear, "Are you ready to talk now?" And he had returned, and I said, "Yes, I don't understand." And he explained that it doesn't matter what anyone says. It matters what you believe inside of you, who you are. No one else can take away from you or add to you anything. You allow them to. When you listen to what they say and you buy into it and you believe it, it's just the hurt from inside of them that they're projecting onto you. If you say, "So what?" Or I like to say also, "That's interesting. That's interesting." So I don't have to say something back to this individual. I don't have to make them apologize. I don't have to believe what they say. I can simply say, "So what?" It does not hold meaning unless I assign the meaning to it. We are spirit here together in life, learning how to love one another. In the situation where we related that got heated because we both had pain inside of us, we had the pain body operating there, the ego. We both gave into it. But then someone has to take the higher road, or we keep going around and around in that cycle, and we stay both in pain. But when someone takes the higher road and someone steps into forgiveness and says, I can say, so what? I forgive you. I let it go. Now that energy is discharged. We release that karma. And now the other individual has the opportunity to bear witness to that, to bear witness to another one, another person who didn't come back at them for words that they said, but chose to say, so what? It's okay. Knowing that when the other person is ready to come to the awareness of what they are doing, they will. And it may not be that day, it may not be the next day, it may not be this lifetime. And that's okay because they get to choose. We don't choose it for someone. We do not get to choose for another what they think, what they feel, what they say, what they do. We do not have that right. None of us. We're here to love, to hold the space to love as best we can within our own consciousness. What are we holding in the container of which we are in? How loving are we to ourselves? For we must love ourselves so that we have something to give. Otherwise, we can be kind and generous and loving when things are going well. But the moment things start to go awry, the moment somebody comes at us with an attitude, the moment that we don't have money in the bank, the moment that we don't have food to eat, the moment that we lose our job, that's when the truth comes out. That's when we get to deal with the stuff, our stuff that we're holding. And that's when we get the opportunity to heal it. And that's when we need those around us to open up and to provide a space, if they can, for love, understanding, compassion. Share your food with somebody who doesn't have any. Share what you have with somebody who doesn't have any. If someone doesn't have compassion, share yours. Be compassionate with them and let them have space to be without condemning them, without rolling your eyes and looking at them and rolling your eyes and thinking poorly of them within your mind. Share your compassion. If you believe yourself to be spiritual, live the fruits of the Spirit. And where someone else is unable to do so at the moment, you do it. And you hold that space for them. For the time will come when they will thank you. It may not be at that moment, and don't expect it, but it will come. Know that. Because we're all in this together. And not one of us rises above any other at any time. We may hold different positions in life. We may live at different addresses. We may wear different clothing. We may have different color skin, different ideologies. But we are same in that we are one. We are love, created by love, as love, to experience love. We're not all doing it at the same time in the same way. We're not all making that choice. But that is our destiny. We eventually will arrive. So now we are here with the opportunity to choose the expression of love. So we experience expansion of our consciousness. We expand the consciousness. We expand the field. When we can live from the heart and we can live the fruits of the Spirit consciously with awareness that we're doing this, we are creating the space. We are expanding our own consciousness. We are uplifting our brothers. We are not condemning. We are helping to raise the frequency on the planet. We are helping to create the new world. There'll be those that are willing to begin to open up and to experience. And there are those that will choose a different path. And that's just fine. Because their time will come when they choose it and how they choose it. But we all get to believe what it is that we choose, because we were created free. We were not to rule over one another. We were not to make decisions for one another. We were to love one another. Love one another. Love ourselves. Look out into the world with its troubles this day. It's calling for love. You can't go and fix all the ills. You can't right all that people are doing that's harming other people and other places. But you can share love. You can allow someone their choice and not feel that they need to behave differently. We have to stop thinking from the perspective that we understand what somebody else is thinking or somebody else is believing. We are not inside their head. We do not know. We have personalities in this life. We have a compilation of memories that we're experiencing, and we experience them through our unique filters. We are each on a journey, and that journey is together with the source that created us. We're having a divine experience. And the source that created us, that's where we go. That's where we bring our thoughts to. That's where we hold the discussions. Just like I said, when I was upset that night, I called out to the master. I know that that's the teachings of love. That's coming from the one true source, coming to me through this energy of which I call the master. And I could receive it because that's where I am in my consciousness. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And that goes for all of us, not just me. That goes for all of us. Many times I'm asked, how do you know what you know? Where did you get your wisdom from? And even my mother used to tease me growing up that I was the wise one and that I was pixelated. She called me like a fairy. I'm pixelated because she didn't understand, like, how could I have such wisdom? Because we believe that our children are that which we teach and we mold them. And we can certainly impact them, but we don't mold them. They are individual souls coming into life with their own experiences to be had and their own life and choices to live. And we're here to love them and give them the space so that they can do that as we are for each other. We're all children of God. We're all children of the one source, the one creator. And everything that we experience in life comes from that one source. And it's for us to realize that. It's for us to choose. Do we choose love to be the expression? Or do we choose fear? Because we are always creating. So we're creating from the field of love, or we're creating from the field of fear. How do we know which field we're creating from? By how we feel inside our bodies. And what the world of effects, because that's what we're creating in, what it is revealing to us. Are you happy? Are you experiencing joy? Do you have a sense of peace inside of you? Can you quiet your mind? Are you spending time by yourself, allowing yourself to experience what you're holding in your mind? What are the thoughts? What is the predominant thought of which you're thinking at any given moment? They're not just idle thoughts. Yeah, we have hundreds of thousands, but we pay attention to a few. And the predominant thought that we have within our mind, if we are worried about money, And that's our predominant thought, and it's pervasive. It's in everything that we do. Then that's what we're thinking, and that's what we're experiencing. And that's an example. It could be we're worried about a spouse who we may believe is about to walk out the door on us. And that's the thought we hold in our mind. And we hold that thought in our mind, and the energy of fear is that which we're given off. And it doesn't feel good inside of us, nor does it feel good inside of the partner of which we may be with. So if we've got that prevailing thought, it's time to sit down and have a conversation. It's time to have a conversation with the partner. This is what I'm feeling. And they can say, oh, there's no reason to feel that because I'm not going anywhere, or whatever it may be. And say, yes, that may be true, but this is just how I'm feeling. And I need to express that feeling. And then feeling that what else you are, and said to each other, then say, okay, what is it you want in your life? Have you thought about that? What is it you really want? Do you want to experience peace? Do you want to experience love? Do you want a loving relationship? Do you want to be free from a relationship? What is it you want? And then you start to develop these conversations. You start by creating a safe space for the conversation, by making the intention and the first move in that direction, so that a partner that you may be with, or a friend that you may have, has an opportunity to choose to step into that space with you or not. And if they do, wow, that's great. Now you can both benefit from that. And if they choose not to, wow, that's great. So what? They're not ready. Let them go. Let them be. Don't hold them to the need to feed you in any way. They cannot take away from you, nor can they give to you. So if they're not available for you to have the conversation with, you have it with God. You sit down, you open up a journal, you write it in a journal. You have the conversation anyway. You don't just let it go. You hold that conversation. I hope that makes sense. So this is how that we come from the field, we begin to come from the field of love. And there's a quote from the Buddha that fits perfectly here. And it's, don't get upset with people and situations, because both are powerless without your reaction. So to get upset with people or situations, they don't hold the power. You do. They're powerless without your reaction. So you choose love. You say, yes, in this moment, I may be feeling hurt. I may be feeling angry. And I may need to cry. And I may need to call out to God. I may need to work this out till I can get to the place where I can forgive myself for holding the feelings that I'm holding, that are holding this other individual to behaving the way that I feel they need to be. Because I choose in love to set them free. I choose to let them go. I don't dictate their behavior. I don't try to get inside their head. I don't need to know why they don't like me. It doesn't matter. I say, so what? They're hurting within them, or they've got something else going on within them. Or they simply not choosing that this is the right vibration for them. Then move on. There's a whole world out there. There are many others who would love to be in your vibration. Just open up to that. Allow yourself to experience that. Set yourself free so that you can set others free. I hope that makes sense. I really do. Okay, so any questions before I end for the night? Now's the time. Or if you have questions after we sign off, feel free to send them to me at Aumara, Aumara, Aumara at AumaraBonnet, BONNET.com. And I'd be happy to answer your questions. So I want to take this time to ask everyone to take a moment to close your eyes and ask yourself, what is it that I want to experience in my life? And I'm not talking about lavish homes or cars and things like that. I'm talking about feeling. What is it I wish to feel? Do I wish to feel love? Do I wish to feel peace? Do I wish to feel joy? Do I wish to feel happiness? What is it that I wish to feel? And then when we identify that which we wish to feel, then we say, okay, I wish to feel, and say it's joy. I wish to feel joy. Now I'm asking my soul, what is it that is standing in the way of my joy? What am I holding on to that is stopping me from feeling joy? And I just sit with that for a moment, and if something comes, I write it down. If it doesn't, I let it go, because it will come to me as I keep asking. What is it that's seeking to get my attention, that's keeping joy from me because I'm asking for joy? And then say to yourself, as I'm experiencing this, I'm going to do things for me that bring me joy. So maybe it's I visit a place that I've always wanted to visit because I'm there and I'm experiencing freedom and I'm experiencing joy. Or maybe it's that I have a relationship that is loving and that I am available to grow into. Whatever it may be, I work within myself to give it to myself. I take the steps to live the fruits of the Spirit. Am I being kind with myself? I pay attention to my dialogue I'm holding within myself and the conversations I have with others. I listen to the words. And if I'm not understanding the dialogue, I begin to write in a journal because it'll come out in the journal. We all have the words within us and they always come out. They let us know exactly how we're feeling. It's our subconscious mind. It comes through. It lets us know. And then once we know, now we have awareness. Now we can begin the healing process. I hope that makes sense. And I pray that we each at this time in our journey on this planet, that we open our hearts and that we live by choice from the field of love. And no matter how rough it gets out there in the world, that we stand tall in love and we allow ourselves to be that which we came to be. We didn't come to lay down in fear. We came to stand up in truth. Arise, stand in your power, stand in your truth. Know that you are the love of which you seek. Know that you are one with all of creation. And that which created you is within you. You're journeying together. It's time now to have the experience. As you choose, so it is. Thank you for joining me this evening. Hope you join me again next week. Have a good week. My blessings to all. that you may experience the peace beyond words. And so it is. Thank you. Good night.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.